We live in a time when innovation and creativity are the path to autonomy, success, and unlimited potential. But our education system is trapped in the industrial age. We are still being fed the story that job security equals freedom. For many of us, that just isn't good enough. Every week, I'm bringing you the stories and experiences of entrepreneurs who don't accept the narrative that there is only one path to success. Their entrepreneurial journey is allowing them the freedom to prioritize both their businesses and their families. They are intentionally building a legacy to lead their family into a new era of innovation and growth. This is Our Modern Heritage Legacy Secrets, and I'm your host, Jody Chafee. Okay, you guys, I'm so excited to welcome to the show Lizz Smoak. TED Talker and brand strategist, Lizz Smoak is the guiding light for kids in business and parents raising young changemakers. Founder of the Kids Business Summit and Start Strong, a course for young changemakers, Lizz is a mom of a 9-year-old entrepreneur and helps parents of enterprising children build a brand while protecting their child's creativity and youthful genius. Lizz says, your child is not the CEO, and you can ensure sustainable fortune for your children, even if they lose interest. Lizz has interviewed many parents of million-dollar kid brands and knows the secrets they all have in common. She says it is more about the parents than the kid. Welcome, Lizz. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you, Jody. This is going to be fun. I've really been looking forward to this talk.
Cool, me too. So this is exciting because I love talking about kidpreneurs. I love talking about what we can do to encourage our kids and raise young producers and change makers, like you said. And so how did you get started on this business and this idea?
Yeah, well, it kind of evolved. I am a marketing and brand strategist by trade, and I've been in the online digital space for about 6 years now. But as I was raising my daughter, of course, I have my only child, Sophia. She is now 9, soon to be 10 next month. And both my husband and I both own our own businesses, and she kind of grew up in the entrepreneurial world. And we started to recognize a lot of the things that she was kind of mimicking and parroting from us were truly entrepreneurial things. So for example, if I would have a client phone call, whether I was in my car or at my desk, she, even at a very young age, she would always tell me, Mom, put them on speaker. And I thought it was a general thing. She just wanted to hear other people. But then I noticed right before picking up the phone, when I would say, okay, Sophia, be quiet, this is a client. Those are the only calls she wanted to hear, even at 7 and 8 years old. So we quickly got her involved in the children's business fair, which, you have them multiple places around the country, and kind of got her involved in that because as entrepreneurial parents, that's what we do. But it wasn't till her second go round, her first go round, she was 8, and she created hair sunscreen. Now, if you know my daughter, she's got giant, big, massive curls, which living here in South Florida, beach and pool wreaks havoc on her. So she created hair sunscreen. That was kind of her first venture out the gate. And we had a ton of fun with it. But I started to realize that she was asking more and more about the way that we did things. How do you get more customers, and how do I talk to people? Where do I find people? And I thought, this is going a little further than, just kind of selling lemonade on the corner of the grocery store. So she decided one day that her hair was a major part of our life. We had 3-hour showers and lots of product and lots of tears. And my husband was like cowering in the corner, like, just make it stop, And it was tough on our family. We would have our salon visits were about an hour and a half away. We would spend 11 hours at the salon. Our salon ticket was $500 and $600. So this was a massive part of our family life. And I remember one day she was doodling in her journal, and she said to me, Mom, I just want to enjoy my hair. Like, she's had a ponytail for the last 9 years of her life. She's never worn it down. And she kept saying to me, Mom, I just want to enjoy my hair. And I thought it would just break my heart because it was really ruling our world. So she began to doodle fun products surrounded by curly girls. So she would make little sayings, or she would design in her mind a coloring book and different things. And she said, Mom, I want to put the fun back in caring for our hair. So of course, entrepreneurial parents are always listening for those things, right? And I was like, here we go, right? We have a thing that she's passionate about. It's truly a need in the market. Her community is looking for these things to bring fun back into hair care. So to make a long story short, we decided to kick that off. And in that moment, I thought to myself, and of course, as I was doing my own research of supporting her as a 9-year-old entrepreneur, running across other parents doing the same thing, whether they had child actors or child models or dancers or young influencers, little craft fair geniuses. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. So all of these young parents raising young entrepreneurs need the help that I can offer in my adult marketing and branding business. And I was kind of coming against a wall. Like I had done so much for so many years that I kind of needed a breath of fresh air. And I enjoyed the newness of those parents that were not entrepreneurs, that were not trying to build a business, but then had on their hands these young individuals that wanted to and were leaning on their parents to say, hey, mom and dad, teach me how. And they're like, I don't know how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
So I quickly pivoted from my adult marketing and branding business that was thankfully very successful to young entrepreneurs and young change makers. And it has been an absolute blast. The first thing that we did was we thought we'd heard from a lot of parents that there was just a lack of community. It's not like you can go have a play date and talk to your kid about your Shopify analytics, So
Right.
It's hard to have a community when you're a young entrepreneur. Like, some kids want to get together and play Legos, and you've got the young entrepreneurs like, hey, let's make something and go across to the grocery store and see if we can hawk it across the street. So the first thing we did was we wanted to try and get our hands around a community. So we created the Kids Business Summit. And there we have a lot of kid entrepreneurs that many of you have heard of, Zolly Pops and Corey's Cookies, and there's a multitude there. As well as their parents, as well as business coaches that actually help us kind of navigate this young world of entrepreneurism. So that's kind of where this all came to fruition. And I'm sure you're going to ask me about this, so I'll hold on to it. But during that summit, the biggest thing that I wanted to know from these parents of $1 million brands, what do you do differently? What's your secret? Are the parents different? Are the kids different? Are you just built that way? Are all these myths that we're all talking about really real? So it kind of self-serving in the beginning because I wanted to know for myself. Yeah. And then it opened up just a world of, treasure of what these people were telling me. So that's where it all
awesome.
Jumped off.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like, I love that, that you let your daughter lead out and get this excitement from her and her ideas and supporting her. And I think that's amazing that being able to start a business together, I mean, how has that impacted your relationship with her?
Oh my gosh, huge, huge. And, I forget because since I'm in this business every day, it doesn't have the luster like for a new person like her. And I forget that she's always watching. And you'll learn this about the way that we teach kid business is, I believe that the child is the creative director, not the boss. And you, the adult, the parent, is really the CEO and charged with kind of the business stuff and the leadership while your kid gets to still remain a kid, right? That's their job. So I forget that she's watching, and there will be times when we're driving to school and out of the blue, and I know that I'm kind of slacking on my role because I'm trying to pay my own bills. And she'll say to me, Mom, how can we sell more products? And I'll be like, is this like her? I'm not doing my job. So the bond has been out of this world. And the biggest thing is that children are always watching. They're not listening to what you say. That's why you have to tell them to clean their room 12 times. But they are watching every little tiny thing that you do. And you're down from the way you handle adversity in your own life, right? When the bills come due and there's not enough quite there, how you handle that. Like, do you grab a venti triple shot from Starbucks and go hide under the covers? Or do you like put on your big girl pants and say, we're going to push through this? Your child is watching what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we, have created this bond that I'm constantly educating her to understand what it means to be able to do for yourself, right? We go to a
Yeah.
Montessori school. So if you're familiar with that type of teaching, it's very much the onus is on her to do for herself. And she's extremely mature for a 9-year-old, not to mention she's 5 foot tall. Um, but the bond has been incredible to watch her grow and to really watch her watch me and the people that I surround myself with, other entrepreneurs and other young change makers.
I love that you said that that your child is the artistic director and how that allows them to continue to be kids. I mean, I think that a lot of times when you say or you bring up this idea of raising a young entrepreneur, people like almost fight it, right? Because they're like, no, I don't want to make my kid grow up too fast. So that's really a false belief, right? That about raising young entrepreneurs, that you have to force them to grow up. So
Right.
that's how do you so obviously allowing them to be the creative director, but when has there ever been a time where you're going, whoa, slow down?
Yeah, for sure. And then it kind of goes hand in hand because she is so mature as well that I forget she's 9. There are sometimes, many times, of course, that she responds as a 9-year-old. I get tears, I get melting on the kitchen floor. Of course, she's 9, right?
Yeah.
And I forget that because she is a person that she can get up on stage on her own and command a stage. She can walk into a room of adults and stick out her hand for a handshake and completely eye contact. So in my mind, she's a young adult.
Yeah.
But when I get the 9-year-old, I'm like, oh yeah, you still are a little baby, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's true, Jody. I mean, the biggest myth that I face as a consultant to kid brands are the people that are kind of trying to figure out if this is the journey for them. And the first resistance is, you know what? I want my child to be a child. I don't think I want them becoming an influencer or on social media or all these things. And I agree completely because I am the number one advocate that a child has to be a child. They get their knees dirty. They play outside and get sweaty. They do children like things. They don't dress like miniature adults, right? They're not influencers at 7. I'm not that person. What I am the person is unfortunately, you and I have seen throughout our careers too many mothers that struggle way too long and their children suffer from it. And that's what their children witness day after day after day, right? An exhausted mom and dad that are probably at each other's throat because money is tight and time is tight. And I'm getting the chills as I'm talking about this. That's what I want to change. And what I want parents to understand is if your child has an inclination toward creating, not necessarily business, because kids don't have an inclination to business. They have an inclination to create or perform, right? Some kids just love the limelight. Is to you as the adult to turn that genius that is so pure right now, whether they're 7, 9, or 19, it comes from such a genuine and fearless place that it's your role as a parent to say, you know what, that has value in today's world. I don't want you to wait till after college or after marriage or after the layoff to do it. I want to harness that for you. You continue to be a kid. You continue to create and, go to school and play soccer while mom and dad figure out how to put your genius back into the market, right? It's almost like Wall Street. And we turn it into something that you can use when the layoff comes or when your only option is working at the bagel shop or God forbid a divorce or bankruptcy, that you can say, hey, mom and dad, you remember that thing that I did when I was 12 that you kind of just kept working at and toiling at? I need that now, right? Because at that point, you're full of fear, you're full of judgment, you don't have the resources to get things off the ground. But if mom and dad really preserve your little genius from when you were 12 and turn it into something that's truly marketable, it can literally save your child's life.
Wow. I am 100% agreeing with, this is amazing. I love that this is an idea that is like a balance between letting them be kids and prepare for adulthood. I think that
Yeah.
so many of us, so many parents are kind of like in either extreme where they're going, I just want them to be kids, or I need to prepare them for college and get them ready and make sure that and it's like, wait, isn't there like an in between where kids have resources that they can use for when they're adults and they're learning them as they go? It's unfortunate. It feels like there's only one or the other extreme.
Yeah, and it becomes dangerous, Jody. When we think about, and I'll use the pageant mom, not because of pageants, but we know the kind of the pageant mom.
It's
Well,
typical.
it's dangerous. And if you talk to adults, I'm sure you have them in your life, they remember, my mom was like, always like, smile, smile, smile. And then what is your kid like? I don't want to see another stage. I am not going to smile ever, because my mother like pounded it into me, and there becomes a resentment. That's the last thing you want to have happen. So, your role of the parent is to love and guide and insulate your child from the headaches and the nastiness of business, because it does get nasty out there. You don't want your child reflecting of life and the world like that so early. You want them just playing and being little geniuses.
That's awesome. That is so awesome, Liz. So I love that. So where can we find you and learn more about all this and be able to, maybe we have budding entrepreneurs. I know, like, I can relate to your daughter looking older and being older, thinking she's older, because that's how my oldest is. And, she sees us building our businesses and she's like, I want to do that. And we're still kind of like, I don't know how to do that.
Right,
So,
right, right.
we're just learning. And so where can we find you and connect with your resources?
Yes. So the best place to go to, if you want to geek out on all this stuff, it's completely for free. It's kidsbusinesssummit.com. You'll meet all of those young entrepreneurs that I alluded to early on, plus their parents, plus coaches that really talk about being a young change maker. Because it's not only business, it's right, a creator or someone who might be passionate about a cause, homelessness, hunger, what have you, and how you instill that leadership and that drive to make a difference in their world. So there is about 20 hours, 20 speakers, from kids to adults at the Kids Business Summit. It's completely free. You can geek out as much as you want. And then you can meet us over on Facebook at Start Strong for Young Entrepreneurs. Start Strong for Young Entrepreneurs on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz. This was so awesome. And I love talking to you. I have one more question to ask before we conclude this first portion is, as you are working with your daughter and teaching people about entrepreneurship for their children, like, what is the legacy that you're building, and the legacy you want to leave?
Yes, thank you for asking me that question, because I see it kind of like I mentioned earlier on, I see it as a stock market. Okay. You put something in and it grows. The problem is we don't necessarily always have money to put into the stock market or money to buy and flip homes. But what we do have is we have a genius, untouched child with tons of beautiful ideas and tons of things that are of value and worth in our world. The legacy that I want to build for my own family and impart in all of the parents watching you today, Jody, is you have the responsibility to harness and bottle that youthful genius. Put it into the market, the grown-up market, right? Our world, whether it's e-commerce or brick and mortar or YouTube, and grow some type of foundation for your child for, like I mentioned earlier, when the bad times come rolling in. And we've all been there, right? And we perhaps were young at one point with some great idea that we doodled on a napkin, and we think, wow, if our parents had only known what to do with that, I could really use that today, right? And this particular market where we're in 2020 is actually incredibly more valuable because you have community platforms, the YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, right? Where your child at 10, 12, 14 can actually grow a community, become an influencer, so to speak, that they're going to pick right up again when they're 20 and 25 years old, right? That doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that legacy is sit back for a moment. And if your child is a creator, which most are, what can you do to create a safety net, a foundation with that genius while they continue to be children? That's the legacy that I hope you all build today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz.
You're welcome, Jody. It was wonderful being here.
Thank you so much for listening, but I have to tell you that this is just the beginning. There is more to this episode inside of my Facebook group. I hope that you'll go and request to join that community because it's awesome. There's more podcast content that's exclusive to the group. There's also giveaways, live Q&As, and you can come and ask questions and take part in this awesome community. So please come and request to join at facebook.com/groups/familyculture-strategies. You can also find my page on Facebook at facebook.com/familyculturepodcast. And I'm at Instagram in the same handle, Family Culture Podcast. So I hope you'll come and follow me there and join in this movement to create an intentional family culture around being entrepreneurial and integrating and prioritizing your family as you grow your business. So come and join me there, and I hope to see you there. You can also come find my website at ourmodernheritage.com. Thank you so much. And remember that if you want to change the world, go home and love your family.